Even though very busy professionals, Ruth and Mike saw the potential to realize goals and fulfill dreams by embracing this business concept, a dream which would buy time and freedom, allowing them a more flexible lifestyle with options to make a difference in their personal and professional lives. Mike is in pediatric practice with special interests in neonatology and allergy, and Ruth has a doctorate in nutrition with special interests in nutrition education. Both are respected for their academic and professional achievements in their respective fields. Mike and Ruth find time a major issue in their lives, but by investing small pockets of time, they have bought back some of their working week. Mike and Ruth has a daughter. Through this business, she is growing up to be a global citizen.
Mike and I are going to share a little bit about our background, and we're so grateful that we could be here. Mike is going to kick off and start a little bit of our background and our story, so maybe you can relate a little bit, and I will pick it up just now.
Thank you. Well, I must say, I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone this evening. You know, if it's not bleeding and not breathing and it's a little baby, I'm far more in my comfort zone than standing in front of you this evening. Now, it's a great, great honor and a privilege, especially as new Network 21 Diamonds. I'm especially grateful to Jim and Nancy Dornan for this opportunity, and it's also a great honor to speak in front of the local leadership. Now, achieving the level of a Network 21 Diamond, this has actually been, strangely enough, one of our life goals. I wouldn't have believed that 15 years ago. Now, we're not special people, but what we've achieved is something very special. And what our desire is to share that experience with you tonight so that you can see that it's achievable for you and that it's actually not that difficult as it seems. Imagine a unique business vehicle. While it cannot guarantee success, it can guarantee the opportunity of success. And this is that business. Now, the bottom line is belief. Now, we can't believe for you, but what we can do is we can share our journey of belief. And for those of you who are more business-minded, our due diligence that we did. Now, if I had to create a theme for my life, it would probably be fine lines and quest for success. Now, I'm not here where we are today because of any plan that I had or any engineering that we did. It was literally fine lines. And it was fine lines where we made far-reaching decisions. And they were often made by default. And there were major consequences coming from these decisions. Now, in the quest for success, I think we're all looking for success, aren't we? And it's actually a process. What we do is we strive firstly for security. Once we've got security, then it is comfort, and then it is wealth. And if we're lucky in our lifetime, it can then be significance. Now, I think if we had to say what is the secret of our success in life, it would come down to those fine lines, the decisions, but embracing those decisions and making the best of it and never quitting. All right, who are we? I think you've heard I'm a paediatrician and I absolutely adore children. And through the years I ran the children's cancer unit at Baragwanath Hospital and then have built up one of the larger neonatal and pediatric practices in the country. Now, Ruth has a PhD in nutrition and she was running a nutritional educational company. And her dream was to be the head of the World Health Organization. She studied in America, and that was her dream. And there was one of the first fine lines. She met me. And she got married, and that was the end of that. And I think I'm the one who scored, because I've got a lady here who is my greatest blessing and my greatest asset. Now, fine lines. I want you to imagine our deepest Soweto. And I was doing a pregnancy study there, and it was a small room with rows of pregnant women. It was hot, and I was sweating, they were sweating, and I was trying to take blood, and it was difficult. And the breast kept flopping on the actual arm. And I looked up, and there was this blonde mirage in front of me. And I realized and I knew in my heart that I was going to marry her. Then there were a few more fine lines. She invited me to the launch of her brother's trailer company at a difficult time in the morning. I had every reason not to go. I felt that I had to then invite her on a date, and I arrived 2 hours late. It was a dinner date, and she'd already had dinner. And she watched me having my dinner. Again, it was a fine line. And she then went back to the States, the united and not the free. And we had a 3-week disjointed courtship. I flew over, I proposed, and she became my life and my business partner. What a fine line. Now, what are the fine lines that shaped me? Now, I can remember clearly when I was 3 years old, I was invited to a birthday party. A week later, I was paralyzed from the waist down, polio. And I can remember a big wooden green door slamming shut with my parents on the other side. And it was a cold, dank stone building that I was in, and there were bars in front of me, the bars of my cot. And I lay there for 6 weeks. And I can remember towards the end, one day the bars were taken down, and I was allowed to dangle my feet over. And I fell out, and there was no nurse there, and I tried to claw my way up back onto that bed because I thought they wouldn't let those bars down again. Now, the lesson I got from that was courage, it was perseverance, and resilience. And it also unleashed a champion gene within me. Now, all of us, with our children and our loved ones, we always want to cocoon them, we want to protect them. Life is tough, life will happen. And in that case, what I hope you'll be able to uncover the champion gene in that loved one of yours. Now, my family were loving, supportive, and encouraging. My father was a humble salesman and built his way up, but he was a dreamer, and he was always looking for other vehicles, very much like you may be tonight. And it was almost as though he thought something may happen in the future. Now, he tried farming, and farmed with everything you can think of that goes in the ground or eats stuff coming out of the ground. And he had one great skill, and that was to hit the market at the biggest glut. So he never ever made money, but he had great joy from it. Now, at 45, there was the olden days equivalent of downsizing, and that was called disinvestment in the dark days of apartheid when companies left, and he lost his job. And I can remember the humiliation at 45 years, him trying to get a job. And I can remember the disillusionment that came from that. And he maintained his dignity. But what a life lesson for me where I didn't want to be heading. Now, my mother, how do you describe a mother? Let me tell you a story. I want you now to imagine a 17-year-old soldier sitting on the side of the parade ground, basking in the sun. And he wasn't happy to be there. And in fact, he couldn't understand it. Everybody was telling him what to do, or telling me what to do, and shouting at me. And it didn't take me long to work out that an infantry man is a expendable pawn, cannon fodder. And I was just thinking there. And I then thought, my life has also now been planned. I'd been accepted into a BCom. Accounting would be my profession. I'd always done article jobs during the holidays. And I then thought, my goodness, how am I going to spend the rest of my life in an office looking at figures and being told what to do? And that was life. And a week later, a letter arrived. I'd been accepted into medicine. Unbeknown to me, my mother had applied for medicine. I was a late acceptance, and my life took a totally different and wonderful, wonderful, wonderful course. Now, I then went on to a journey of success, which a lot of professionals will identify with. It was 4 years at nursery school. It was 12 years at school. It was 7 years at medical school. It was 5 years to specialize. I don't know if you can count that quickly, but it's a long, long time. At 30 years, it finished, and I was only just starting. And at that stage, you've got debt. And getting started in life, my goodness, as a doctor, suddenly there was a deluge of debt. And that started the cycle of debt, fear, work, greed, spend, debt, fear, work, greed, spend. Does it sound familiar? It's the rat race. Are you a winner? Some of you might know that line. All right. Then how does this model work for doctors? Now, disillusioned doctors is what I'm going to say. Now, I sit in the operating theatre with some of the top specialists, people who are brilliant in what they do, and they complain about medicine constantly. But when you analyze it, they're not complaining about medicine, they're complaining about the financial model. Now, they are looking at retirement, some of them, and they realize they're not going to be able to retire, like many professional people realize, without stepping down considerably. So they will have to work beyond their sell-by date. Now, can you imagine a doctor who's been at the top of his field slowly realizing he's not quite as good? I mean, that is a frightening, disillusioning thought. And also there's a changing model of medicine. Big businesses coming in, and the money is being made, and it's definitely not being funneled towards the doctors. This sounds like a political talk, but anyway. And there's also a total lack of control. And can you imagine now, if there was a river of revenue from this business washing through that doctor's home on the 15th of every month and washing away all the crud so he can concentrate on his medicine and the important things in his life. Right, I then became head of the cancer unit at Baragwanath Hospital, and there I saw life in the raw. There was pain, there was suffering, there was life, there was death. There were some of the most unbelievably brave children, absolute heroes, absolute champions. And it gave me a perspective on what was really important in life. Now, our financial model at that stage was an employee and an academic. And we were frugal, but if anything went wrong, we didn't have enough money, we had to dip into our meager sort of savings. And then I got a fine line, a telephone call, inviting me into private practice. Now, I was actually in a comfort zone, in academics and in poverty. But I felt I was fine. And I phoned, unfortunately, my richest friend, who wasn't actually that rich, and I wanted him to confirm that I should stay where I was. And he said, for heaven's sake, get out. And that was a fine line. I went into private practice. I haven't seen that friend again. Now, when we saw the business, we were very successful. We had a lovely home. We had cars. We had a share in a game farm. I had a thriving practice. I had a beautiful wife and daughter, or at least I thought so. And we were living the good life. Now, were we the ideal prospects? Absolutely. Our success was a veneer. Underneath it, there was time bankruptcy, there was lifestyle bankruptcy, there was family life bankruptcy. I was paying in body dollars with the stress and the hours that I was working. And we were actually living a life of quiet desperation, and there was no way out. We were looking without even realizing that we were looking. How was the financial medical model bearing up for us at that stage? Had we achieved the security? Had we achieved wealth? Had we achieved comfort? No. If I had died or been disabled, everything would have just imploded. And we were actually in a success mess. Now, this business is unique. It gives one an unprecedented control of one's destiny as far as is humanly possible. Now, how did we extricate ourselves from this success mess? It was again a thin line. we were invited to the perfect plan. Why was it perfect? We saw this business opportunity and it got us in, and I don't think anything else would have got us in. It was a friend we trusted. We were told we need bums in seats, come. And then another thin line, a father's love for his son. And this father had left the country because he thought the country would go down the tubes in the mid-1990s. And he wanted his son to become an obstetrician in the United States. And, I mean, with litigation, I mean, it's as bad as the litigation is in Johannesburg nowadays. And he then wanted him to become a jeweler. He then was told, look, I'm happy being an obstetrician and I love South Africa. Undaunted, he went and brought an international business opportunity, and that's what he showed us. Now, he had quite severe emphysema, so I remember the plan, and he was short of breath, and I wasn't sure if it was the emphysema or excitement. It probably was both. And he was reading from a manual, and it was enough for me to hear a recurring income, and for Ruth to hear 10 to 15,000 rand a month. Now, were we going to join? Of course we were going to join. It was our friend. I mean, we always would support our friend. It wasn't even a question. And then came peer pressure, where we inadvertently linked into a system. We started sort of forcing each other to listen to CDs, read certain books, and attend certain meetings. And we had the most unbelievable fun. Now, our first success seminar, like you're at tonight, was a different affair. There were flashing lights, there was music, band, there was videos. And Ruth aptly commented, Peter Stuyvesant without the cigarettes. And we were sitting there saying, if we wanted to go to a rock concert, we would have paid to go to a rock concert. And then through the talks I heard, sleep until you're no longer tired and not when your alarm clock wakes you up. And I was in. It was Robert Nkasa, who we later learned was a huge leader in this business. But that was enough to get me into this business. And then we had coming up a weekend seminar. And we had our first counseling session with Mitch Sala. And we went there and we said, we're going. And he said, all right, and who's coming with you? And we sort of said, oh, well, we can bring 12 people. And he said, let me see your business. And he said, I think you could do 40. Now, you never tell Ruth that, because that was the end. It was going to be 40. And we got 40 people there. We struggled and it clawed. And I then found out it wasn't the money she was looking for. It was to buy 1 day off from my week. And for the last 14 years, I've taken 1 day a week, and then later even more, off from my medical practice to do what I want to do. Sort of another thin line. I mean, I joined with a dormant bank account, and I did my annual bank recon. Don't tell the accountants in the audience here. They'll see why I didn't become an accountant. And there was 55,000 rand in it. And I then realized this was a real business with real money. Now, life happens. And we went on to platinum in 18 months. With focus and a goal and a date, we got emerald in 18 months. We then, with focus, goal, went diamond in 18 months. So there's integrity in this business. When they say you can do it in 5 years, you can do it in a 3 to 5 year period. But it took us 15 years. And we were in the business, but we just lacked a goal with a date. And life happened. Now the good things happened. My practice was thriving. I used Network 21 principles of leverage, and instead of reaching a peak and dropping down, my practice increased, although I spent less time there. Then bad things happened. We were intimately involved with a very tragic death, and we had quite a significant chronic illness in the family. Life is hard. Life will happen to all of us here, I'm afraid. And fortunately, we'd already started digging the well before we wanted the water. Now, Ruth was then our driving force, and she got us out of this doldrums that we call it. And Emerald, 40,000 rand a month, and 18 months with a goal. And for Ruth, it was a trip on the Sea Dream that enticed her, and it was well worth it, on a luxury yacht. For me, I wanted to retire at 55. I put a fortune into retirement annuities. I was going to see conventionally how it would go. 8 million rand. Young wife like this who loves to spend, no way I could survive. This has been my greatest investment. This is financially my plan A. Going diamond, 100,000 rand a month, and it's still growing. It's a win-win situation, the whole business all the way down, and the rewards are generational, as we're going to show you. Now, in conclusion, I've shared the fine lines that have shaped our life, leading to profound decisions. I've shared our quest for success. My prayer is that it hits some chord within you and will inspire you to take the first steps. Medicine is the most noble and rewarding profession, but it has not been our perfect financial model. This business is our financial plan A. If we look at the process of success, it's given us security, it's given us comfort, it's given us wealth. But more than that, it's given us the freedom to concentrate on making a difference to the world around us. It is now my great pleasure to hand over to the greatest joy and blessing in my life, my wife, my best friend, my business partner, a woman with a burning dream to help other people, a true champion, Ruth.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you can see why my greatest dream ever, when we saw this business, was to buy one day from medicine. We never ever looked at the business in my mind for the money. The money could be fabulous, but it was just what money could do for me. Money in itself has never had a value for me. It's always been, what could I do with that money? And accumulating it has never been a priority. And you'll understand as I go further why that would be true. But for Mike, I wanted to buy one day from his working week, and we were able to do that. And as Mike said, we took 15 years to build this business, but it doesn't take 15 years to build it. So therefore, we are absolutely 100% qualified to share with you tonight how we can do it faster, and also maybe some of the items or perspectives that would help you not to get stuck in some of the slow periods that we got into. But in terms of what a woman wants and why a woman with a PhD and who was running my own publishing company with a husband who is already extremely successful would even look at this business, I think one of the main things that I wanted to be able to do was I wanted to be able to have absolutely everything. I wanted to be able to have enough money to do whatever I wanted to in my home and for those I loved. I wanted to have a fabulous career that was unlimited and unstructured. So if I wanted to be at home, I could be there. If I wanted to be in an office, I could be there. If I wanted to be overseas somewhere, I could be there. That there wasn't a limit to how I built my career. But I also wanted to be an absolutely fabulous mum. And I've always wanted to be able to do something with my life, but not pay the price of being a mum. And so with all of those things coming together, and the goal of wanting to be able to give away as much money as was needed, those all came into one big, huge pot called everything. Can you relate? Absolutely. And I think if you're a woman in the audience, you'll be putting both hands up, because women want everything. And men know that. But when we look at the economic models that we as women put our time into and how we work in terms of time, it's pretty interesting, some of the statistics that we deal with. But I'm unbelievably grateful that in my hands I have a vehicle that if Mike had to be incapacitated in any way so that he couldn't earn money in medicine, and we've always said, let's have a deal that if something happens, it's quick and fast, and that it doesn't take forever to move into another sphere, because an agonizing death isn't great. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits that we've had from the business that were complete surprises. But in terms of the business that Mike has created, a multi-million rand business, I could not run it. I couldn't take it over, and I couldn't perform in it. Although I currently run the practice, I don't think any other doctor would let me run his life, do you? And so what we've been able to do with this business is actually allow me to have an equally substantial business alongside of Mike that has the potential to outperform it in the future. And so that is a huge benefit for me. As a busy professional woman, my career could never do that. And if we look at the other statistics that are brought into light, when you look at the concept of 90% of women are solely responsible for their finances, however, only 79% of women plan for it. So there are many reasons why in busy worlds, men should take seriously this business, because you can provide financially in a way that very few vehicles can for your family. And women should take it unbelievably seriously, because we can provide for our future as well as for our families. And many women are single later in life and desperately need vehicles like this to support families. So in terms of those benefits, it's been amazing for Mike and I. And we started this business long ago. And when we started, Carly was 9-10 years old. And the perspectives that we've benefited from the business in terms of what it has given us have been enormous in terms of parenting. If I had to be as wise in the choices we've made as parents, we would never have been able to be where we are today. I believe the fine lines in the choices we made in bringing up our children, in helping guide the choices that they've made in careers, in schooling, in sport, in all the different areas that were important in their lives and where they focused, I would not ever in a lifetime have come across this wisdom that is housed in the Network 21 system that we've been able to apply. And we've taken a span of life to build to diamond. And I'm going to come back to that in a little while, because I'm not ashamed that it's taken us 15 years to build this business, because we did it and we got to diamond and we finished it and we are continuing with it. Our daughter is our absolute joy, and our niece has been in and out of our lives for years and years. And you know, just recently she came out for Carly's wedding, and she is as you can see, gorgeous, lovely, vibrant young woman, and she has an incredible zest for life. And she was going to go into the sciences of all things. And she was going to go into a serving science, which is not her skill. And I looked at this and I thought, why is she doing that? She was accepted and she had a plane ticket back to begin. You know how fine the lines are simply because a door has opened and the money is involved. What we did there is I looked at her, we had a chat, and I just said to her, Gracie, I don't believe you're shining. You don't have to go back. It's only money. Why don't you just stay, take your bags upstairs, and don't get on the plane tonight? And she didn't. Today she's in a completely different career, thriving, because that is her passion, that is her skill, and she can do it way better than serving people through science, believe me. Those perspectives are life-changing in my world and in generations to come. And then the benefit of being able to be involved in this business, you know, if you looked at Mike and my careers and the expense in equipping two people at a super specialist level, at a PhD, I have a master's in public health based in the US. My degree 25 years ago was worth more than R500,000. What it would be worth today, I don't know. The time involved to create that kind of education, Mike's education, and both of those vehicles have limited income because they're time-based. Could you imagine us beginning at any level to re-equip ourselves in a different financial model? No way on earth could we begin something else. And when I heard the founder of this corporation sharing his vision of how more than 45 years ago they'd come into this country and registered their trademark, how they had taken issues to court and won battles. And I listened to the vision of a man, and all I had to do was get a number and follow a simple system to create an unrivaled wealth creation program that my career could never do. Humbled, and grateful. I cannot even explain it to you. So for the perspectives that we've been able to take away from this business personally, financially, world global vision, perspectives that are absolutely changing our lives and generations and very important. And lessons that we have taken from the process of growing quickly, growing slowly. There are not many mistakes that we would make in this business that we haven't done already. There are not many you would make that we haven't seen already. Because after taking 15 years to do something, you've done it right and wrong 4 or 5 times just to make sure it's wrong, and I can guarantee you it is wrong. So if I had to summarize the learnings that we could take away from this, what we'd look at is everything looks impossible until it's done. You may have a goal in your life, whether it's in this business or not, and you may think, is this ever going to be a reality? You know, when we first started this business, as much as I always knew I would be a diamond, I used to attend the preview where there was hardly a seat and think, will anybody ever do this with me? I would do it, but would anybody ever do this with me? And I used to wonder, would anybody ever pay the price that I will pay? And the price is not big, but I wondered if anyone would follow. And everything looks impossible until it's done. And then when you look back, you think, what took so long? You see, it took 18 months of focus on the right things. And that's the key, is the right things. Life brings you challenges. And those challenges will absolutely cost you a lot more energy. And from one of the CDs, I heard about Bob Andrews cycling. He's a cycling enthusiast. And he was cycling up a hill, and he felt like he was invincible. He could take the world and absolutely control it with the power he had going up the hill or the mountain. And as he turned, the wind seemed to just slow him down. His legs were burning. His heart was absolutely about to burst in his chest. And he said, what's the difference? Riding up the hill or the mountain with the wind behind him, and then turning with the headwinds full on. And this is what changed my life. He said the next sentence, and it was a whispering into my heart, prepare yourself, something is coming. Love the headwinds, because the maker of the wind is the same. That sentence just resonated inside me. Those of you who are clapping have faced some headwinds, because you know that within you, when you face a headwind, there is a new resilience, a new strength that you find when you dig deeper. And so it's really important that when we face the headwinds, and I'd like you to say this with me, that hard does not equal bad. Could you say that? 1, 2, 3. Hard does not equal bad. You see, there are many things in our lives that are hard, but they're good for us. They may cost us pride. They may cost us energy. They may cost us many different things, but they make us better people. And if you are like me, you will want to be your absolute best, and it will be impossible to get there without facing some headwinds. The other is that you make a choice either way. You see, in the 15-year period of building this business, we built it fast and we built it slow. The times we chose to build it fast, we chose to build it fast. In the times we did not choose to build it fast, we chose to build it slow, but we didn't know it. You make a choice either way. So if you do not choose, you will still pay the price of the choice. Focusing on the right things is critical. I learned this with 15 years of price. You can learn it in 1 second of listening. This is the thing. Focus on the right things. I did not ever want to do a 10-year PhD. Never. I said it over and over and over. I do not want to take 10 years to do a PhD. I do not want to take 10 years to do a PhD. I do not want to have 10 years doing a PhD. Guess how long my PhD took me? You focus on anything, you'll get it, negative or positive. It's like when you ride a bicycle and you want to miss the poles. I'm going to miss the poles, I'm going to miss the poles, and what happens? You hit the poles. Life is like that. Focus on the right things. If you don't want to be poor, don't focus on not being poor. Focus on being wealthy. If you don't want to live an insignificant life, don't look at an insignificant life. Look at a significant life. Focus on the right thing and you'll get it, because whatever you focus on, you will get. And I focused on not taking more than 10 years to be a diamond, not taking more than 10 years to be a diamond, and we took more than 10 years to be a diamond. Because that's so easy to do and so easy not to do. And one of the major reasons that we took such a long time, and if you would like to write this down, I would encourage you to do so, we would repeat cycles of activity with the same people over and over. And Nancy Dornan said in one of the seminars we went to, if you did not come here to change, you are destined to repeat what you just came through. And that is exactly what we needed to do to change. We needed to not want to repeat the cycle, to set a new goal and to move on. And I can tell you, every single time we set a goal in absolute concrete, first to go platinum. I was not going to go into the Swedish and Norwegian market not as a platinum. And we got platinum done. That was an 18-month focus. I saw the potential of being on the Sea Dream. And without any question, we got Emerald done, an 18-month focus. When we decided we were going to get Diamond done, we were going to have this business finished, it was an absolutely not negotiable goal. And I wanted the July weekend seminar to be the weekend that we were recognized as diamonds, because I did not want to go overseas tomorrow, not as a diamond. It got done. 3 focus periods that could do it. So easy to do, so easy not to do. You could change your whole business with 1 cycles of activity. New people who will be able to see what's possible. So if you want to pay the price we paid, go ahead. I don't recommend you do. You'll hear more about that later. But at the end of the day, what is it that the business has given me and given to Mike? Mike had polio as a child. He went on to be a Springbok fencer. We've spent a number of years building this business. Here's what I found. We are not quitters. We don't quit on anything. We're loyal to what we start. We're loyal to the people that we love. And those are qualities that will take you a long distance. And maybe you're sitting here tonight, maybe you are somebody who have just seen this business and you know that inside you there is something more that you'd like to achieve. I just ask you, don't quit on yourself. And if you are someone here who has been building the business and at a certain point has come to a place where you just think, my goodness, could I actually change the past and have a completely different future? Don't quit on yourself. Because it is completely possible for you to do all of those things. And if I look at these lessons, I would be happy to have learned these anywhere in life, to be able to mentor them into other people's lives, and to be absolutely grateful that I had the opportunity to learn these in or out of this business. Applied to this business, they become even greater. Every one of these lessons I have to share with you comes from either being in a seminar or from hearing it on a CD. Not one of those things there is original. Every lesson that we've applied into our life has come from the Network 21 system, and unbelievably grateful for what it's done. And when we were going Emerald, I was so convinced that this was the worst time on earth to be going Emerald. And everything happened during that period. You can't believe it. We had a flood that went through our house twice, took up our floors, and eventually we stopped fixing them. Even now we had a flood that went through our place in the Lowveld. It went through 20 meters above where the water level on the river was, and it took everything in our house pretty much to Mozambique. Kerry said when we go Crown, she's moving to the top of Kilimanjaro, because it seems that water seems to go with every goal. But during that time when we were looking at actually taking our business forward, I called our mentor And I said to him, I don't believe this is the time that we should be doing this. And he replied, you have every reason not to. But there are others who have worse situations than you, and they will get it done. And as I said that, I looked down and I saw a bag, and that bag I bought at NASA, and that bag said, failure's not an option. I got so mad, I pushed reply and I said, it'll be done. And I learned then how not to quit. I learned then that failure's not an option. And you know what? These lives that we live, it's a once-off deal. And failure's not an option. And this business has provided us the most amazing platform to be able to go forward, not only in our careers, which we absolutely love, but to go forward with significance and change generations. And failure, for us, it's just simply not an option. And if we look at what we would like to introduce you to, is we, I believe, are the only 3-generation platinum and above family in South Africa. We have my parents at Founders Platinum, my daughter and her husband at Platinum, and Mike and I at Diamond. And those businesses obviously will move on, and we would like you to hear a little bit more from their perspectives of the value of this business and what it's added into their world from those different generations. My dad's next birthday will make him 84. My mum is ageless. You will agree. And they have spent their lives working in church work. My mother's family come from the Congo. In fact, in the 60s, when there was, as there often is in the Central African Republic, huge political unrest, her parents were taken hostage for a year. We didn't know if they were dead or alive. They were saved by Mike Hall, a very famous and infamous mercenary. They have a story that would make an absolute movie. They went back 3 times to Zaire to run a clinic and make a difference in people's lives. My mother ran exactly the same life with my dad. They have invested their lives in people, in places that most people don't shine, where there's often no glory, no money, nothing but love and hard work. And they've given us a value system that has been absolutely incredible. And you'll hear from them in a minute or two. And then for Carly and Neil, who recently got married, they got married during our Diamond qualification. It's interesting to plan a wedding when you're trying to go Diamond with your daughter and all the things that it takes. And I'd just like to share with you that in that period of planning Carly's wedding, again, I called our mentor and I said, what do I do? And these were his words: have no regrets. This is what you built it for. Memories that you hold precious.
What a significant achievement. Well, as you can see, we have 2 of the 3 generations up on stage, and we just got some questions to ask them. This is a family that has a truly significant perspective, similar to probably the Harris family. It's an amazing perspective that families have when they build multiple generations like this. So we're going to be asking them just a few questions, so that they can share some of their experiences. Starting with Mom, Anne. You and your husband saw the business as retirees. And there's certainly some retirees in the room, or people who are heading that way. What value has the business been to you, Anne?
We're very privileged indeed to find a business like this, and started after we retired 20 years ago. We really didn't know what we were going to do because we didn't have much of a retirement, and we thought, if we could only have 1,500 Rand or something like that so we could pay rates and taxes and municipal bills. We didn't have any great, huge goal, just to be able to exist. So that was our main thing. And, working in the church has been wonderful. It's been blessed, and we've been joyful all those years of sharing our lives with others. But the rewards are not usually in this world. Usually they're out of this world. And that's why we really had to have something else in order to survive, and this has been provided through this. And then another thing is, too, that because of this business, we've been able to still carry on our ministry. We've been able to, my husband is before he became a minister, he was he's a master builder. So he has been able to refurbish and re-roof several churches, which is fantastic, 7 of them actually, because of this income stream that we've had. And then another thing is getting old and middle age. You know what the definition of middle age is?
No.
It's the time of life when the narrow waist and the broad mind change places. But we're not even middle-aged, we're elderly. And I don't know if there's a definition for that, but we certainly are never going to find out. Because another big advantage of this business is that we rub shoulders with young people all the time, and all of you stimulate us in an incredible way, so we're never going to be old. There's always something new to hope for and new goals to reach. The saying goes, age is a quality of mind. If you don't dream anymore, then you are old, and we can dream. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Trygvar, more affectionately known as Dad in the business. You've spent a lifetime in the church serving other people. What about the conflict that some people have around faith and money?
Well, this is quite a question. You know, thinking about people's values and the questions they have about the business. And I remember this one particular question. The person said to me, if I join this business and I build it successfully and I become wealthy, I will lose my faith. I said, really? I said, your faith can't be very strong if that's the case. However, but you know, I listened to his further questions, and I said to him, I said, you know, I know many young pastors who are in young churches who have to supplement their salary through some other secular program. Now, those people need the extra support to help their families. The church may not be able to support them sufficiently, but at least they are able to supplement their family by following a secular program. I said, now, I don't see any sense of your argument. It's not really relevant in a sense because of the fact that many people have to turn to some other source of income. So here is the corporation that offers us a wonderful opportunity to build a benefit to the family where we can support not only the church program but our individual homes. And also I would like to mention that as far as myself I'm concerned, my own life, I have been in ministry now for many, many years, and my wife and I have shared this together. And you know, looking at this, I've come to realize that the values of Network 21 are very similar to our particular faiths. For instance, we have a very strong emphasis on credibility. We have a lot of emphasis upon truth. We have a lot of emphasis as well upon belief. Where we need to believe in what we're doing, we believe in a business that we can build it successfully. And so these values are very close and very dear to us individually in our individual faiths. So I do thank the opportunity that we have as we look into that possibility in the future and what it holds for us. And also, when you think about what the Network 21 really depicts, I think I expressed it well in this verse where I refer to in the book of Proverbs or the book of Wisdom, where it says that if we will refresh others, we in turn will be refreshed ourselves. And that is the principle of the Network 21 system. where we will go out and help others to join the business, where they in turn will be blessed and we ourselves will receive benefits from that. And that's very central to our whole concept. Now, we have just recently in our last West seminar experienced a very interesting outreach, and that was one of the operational definitions that we went through, where the spirit of Network 21 was expressed in the team spirit of building a project that really blessed so many people, and especially in the area of the Habitat organization, and how Ruth and Mike had brought this together, and how so many have been participating in that program. And I thought to myself, what a fantastic team to work together. And you know, friends, I have a great respect for the ladies that worked on that team. I said to myself, if Ruth says that we can get this thing built in a week, I thought, well, it remains to be seen. But amazing how everybody participated, and it was a fantastic success. So that was really wonderful. And you know, we consider this as a real privilege to be able to be in this organization, in this business, to build our future, where we can keep our home, we can live a lifestyle that is reasonable, and through this organization we have sufficient to keep us going. So we are most grateful. By the way, since the last West seminar, I've been quite inspired to use quite a lot of double X, so that I would try to jump over that table, for instance.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we're doing age before beauty, so I'm going to hand that to you, Neil. This young man, I mean, this is quite interesting, I think, for many of us in the audience, is Neil saw the business in his gap year, if I've got it right. Is that right? And so he subsequently went and got himself a degree in business finance, and while he was doing that, he went on and became a platinum. So Neil, what I'd like to hear from you is maybe what value you saw as a young man at that point, and what value you got.
Well, so as you heard from David, I saw the business in my gap year straight after school. It was obviously during a period of time when I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with life, other than I knew I wanted to be successful, make an impact, and not go and study to work and then work 40 years to have that success and impact. So I saw the business from a very close friend of mine, and he actually didn't get me started and get signed up in the business straight away. And we decided we'd then go surfing for 3 weeks in Jeffreys Bay. We came back, and obviously during that period of time, a whole bunch of people had linked into that team already. And within that period, there was an incredible couple that have built a massive emerald business here in South Africa, to which they could have been in my downline, but instead they were in my upline and were mentors for me. So the reason I tell you that is because you never know who could link into the team and build a big business over time. But in any case, I had that couple as incredible mentors of mine, and I was able to go on and build a platinum business by myself. And yeah, also during that period of time, I also met Carly, and we started dating, obviously. And over I think a few years later, we now obviously married. So that's probably the biggest benefit and the greatest gift I've got out of the business. Brownie points. Susan. But I'll never forget when Carly, because I started building the business before we started dating or met. And when we started dating, Ruth had a chat with me, we had breakfast, and she said to me, Neil, you're either really brave or stupid to be dating the Emerald's daughter, because you're going to be in the fishbowl. Because if you're not building the business, you're going to be with Carly, and she will know where I am at all times. So to which I said, I'm probably a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, Carly and I, that's been the greatest gift. You don't see that in the plan. But I think I was able to see an incredible value system connected to a business, which would give me the dreams that I had from a very young age. That's why when my friend spoke to me about the business, he never really showed me the plan. He just told me what I could get from the business. And it was all the things that I wanted from that young age, is to have the success, make an impact, and I could eventually go on to study what I enjoyed, which was business and finance, and not to go out and work for an income, but to use that because I enjoy it and make an impact through that. And that's one of the things that the business has given me. I mean, for Carly and I, with our studies, if we went on into our careers, we would have had to go and work 5 days a week to earn the income we would have earned every month. We've been able to put that together through this business so that we can earn that income. And now the time that we have, we can rather pour into things that we're really passionate about and pour into areas where we want to make a difference. So that's been a great benefit. And obviously I've been blessed with another family. So I've got my family and I've got another family, an incredible family that we can share amazing memories with. I mean, we just came back from Paris, where we were able to go, where the corporation took us overseas together. So there's so many things that we've been blessed with, and I think probably the income, the family, and Carly, one of the greatest things I've got through this business so far for a younger person is who I've been able to become over the last few years. The skills I've been able to learn through the business. I mean, if you'd seen me however many years ago, you wouldn't recognize who I was to who I am today. So I probably think that's one of the greatest things as well. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Neil. Now, Carly, let's just do a quick survey here. How many of you are parents in the room? How many of you feel guilty about being here, not with your kids? It's often something that many parents struggle with. Now, Carly has a unique perspective. She was 9 or 10 years old when her parents got going in the business and basically grew up within the business and around the business. So, Carly, from a very, very unique position, maybe if you can share us a bit of your perspective on that. And, of course, you went on and went platinum separate from Neil.
Well, I actually was 7 when my parents joined, so I'm not 7 anymore, but you can do the maths if you add 15 to that. But, you know, people so often now that we build the business, they don't listen to us when we talk to them and they have kids, and they feel so guilty about building the business with their children because they're going to sacrifice time. And, you know, if my parents hadn't built this because of me, I would never have forgiven myself if I'd ever come across this business again as an adult, because this business has absolutely revolutionized our lives. You know, I remember when my mom and dad would go out, I remember screaming at the gate once because my mom forgot to say goodbye because she was late. And I phoned her on the tennis court and I said, "You'll never love me and you love this business more than me." And she came back, she gave me a kiss, and I went on to watch Generations with the lady who was, you know, looking after our house. So I was actually fine. And I had great role models in The Bold and the Beautiful as well. But but that's just the thing. And we hear it all the time, you know, the kids pay the price. But I think I was chatting to my mom and dad the other day, and you know, if you're looking at building the business and you do have a family, don't let your children pay the price. And what I mean by that is so often parents tell their kids we're going to go diamond and they don't do it. And we were just saying, you know, it breaks our heart to see parents who will go and phone and confirm one person to a meeting, leave their family for that evening when they could have probably confirmed 6 or more, but that was just a bit uncomfortable. And you know, when you don't get a result in the business and you're building it as a parent, it's irritating, but the child pays the price. And so that's something that's really big, is if you're going to do it, because you don't know what impact that'll have on your child. And I so well remember, there's so many gifts. I could sit here all night and tell you. In grade 11, obviously I'd started dating Neil, and my grades reflected that I had just got a boyfriend. And so I listened to a CD by Bob Andrews called To Be a Champion. And I graduated, I matriculated with, I was one of the top in our school. And that was because of the principles I learned from a Network 21 CD that my parents didn't force me to listen to. They suggested I listen to it. And that was a gift. I remember when we started studying, I said, Mom and Dad, this is so wonderful what I'm studying, but I'm never going to do it. Because I had a practical and I had to have a boss, and I didn't love him very much. But, you know, I'm so grateful that the business it doesn't depend on your age. And if someone's willing to follow a system that even us as students, I'm still studying, we can lead big business people, because we're not the magic. If we walk away, everyone in our team can still have the same success because it's duplicatable. Thank you. Other benefits were teenagers obviously don't always respect their parents very much, but I never will forget when I was 15, coming to this exact room, I think, and my mum and dad were recognized as emeralds, and I remember seeing a room like this stand and applaud my parents, and I remember the impact that made on my relationship with my parents, because I thought, if all these people respect my mum and dad, then I will too, and that's a big thing. So those are also benefits. And obviously building it as a younger couple, it's taught us so many life lessons that I work with some people and they still don't have those lessons, the not giving up and that failure is not an option. And it's so unfortunate to see, but it's so awesome to see people are able to relearn it. It's never too late. And I remember it's just the hidden gifts. I don't know if our family could afford the time and the money to take all 3 generations to Mauritius, but because we all qualified platinum, we were able to do that. It happened to be my 21st as well. And just those are awesome memories that we never would have had if my parents had decided not to build it because it was inconvenient to leave me at home, or they were worried about if I would grow up to be a rejected child who would, have a complex. And I didn't. But, just fine lines. So it's given us, we couldn't even begin to tell you, but it's given us so much, and we're so grateful. And this is just the beginning. When you see your parents on stage on Diamonds, you lived in their house, you saw what it took to go diamond, and maybe it's not as bad or not as hard as you think it is. So what a gift to the next generation as well.
Thank you.
This recording is the exclusive property of Network 21. Duplication is strictly prohibited without the written permission of Network 21. No one can guarantee the techniques and approaches suggested in this CD will work for you. We hope, however, that the ideas presented herein will assist you in developing a strong and profitable business.